Jack woke up to the low hum of his broken ship, feeling the hard metal under his back. He rubbed his eyes, trying to remember what had happened. The stars outside the small window looked different. There was no sign of Earth or anything familiar. His mind went back to the last moments before the accident, how the ship's controls went dark. The alarm started to blare, and how he had tried to fix it but failed. Now he was here on a strange world far from home, and everything was silent. Except for the wind outside, he got up and checked the systems again. Nothing worked, not even the emergency beacon. Food and water were low. Jack knew he needed to find help soon or he would not last long. He put on his jacket, grabbed a small toolkit, and stepped outside. The ground was a dull gray, with patches of blue grass and strange trees that glowed a faint green. The air was cool but not cold. There were 2 moons in the sky, and distant shapes moved on the horizon. He walked for an hour, feeling more alone with every step. Then he heard something, a soft rustling behind a thick bush. Jack stopped and listened. The sound came again. He crouched low and peeked around the bush. A young woman sat there, her knees pulled to her chest. Her hair was silver and long, and her eyes were bright like polished glass. Her clothes were fine but torn, and she held a small device in her hand, turning it over and over. She looked up, scared, when she saw Jack. Jack raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "Hey," he said gently, "I am not here to hurt you." "Are you?" "Okay." The woman looked at him with wide eyes. She hesitated before speaking. "I am Lyra," she said in a quiet voice. I need help." Jack could see she was afraid. He spoke softly. "My name is Jack. I crashed here. My ship is not far from here." "Are you alone?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, I was running from some people. I think they are still looking for me." Jack looked around. There was no one else in sight, but he did not like the fear in her voice. "Do you know this place?" "Do you know where to find help?" Lyra shook her head. "I was brought here against my will. I escaped. But now my communicator is broken. I have nowhere to go." "Let me take a look," Jack said, pointing to her device. "Maybe I can fix it." Lyra handed him the small communicator. Jack sat beside her and opened the device with his toolkit. As he worked, he asked more questions. "Who brought you here? Why?" Lyra hesitated. "I cannot say. It is not safe. If they find me, they will take me back." Jack nodded. "That is okay. You do not have to tell me. But we need to get off this planet. Maybe we can help each other." He finished fixing the communicator, but there was still no signal. Jack shook his head. "I'm sorry. It is fixed, but there is no signal. We might need to get closer to a big transmitter or a city." Lyra looked relieved, but also worried. "Thank you. You did not have to help me." Jack shrugged. "It is what anyone would do. We are both stuck here. We need to stick together. Do you know how to survive out here?" Lyra shook her head. "I have never been to a place like this before." "Then we need to find shelter," Jack said. "Come on, it will be safer together." They walked for a while, moving carefully through the strange forest. Jack pointed out safe places to walk and kept an eye out for danger. Lyra watched him closely, sometimes asking about things she saw: a bird with red wings, a flower that closed when she touched it. Jack smiled and answered her questions. She seemed curious and smart, but there was always sadness in her eyes. As the sun set, they found a small cave hidden behind thick vines. Jack checked it for animals, then led Lyra inside. It was dry and safe. They sat together, sharing the little food Jack had. Lyra ate slowly, as if she was not used to rough living. Jack noticed that her hands were smooth, not like someone who worked with machines or in the fields. "Do you miss your home?" Jack asked softly. Lyra looked away. "Yes, I miss it very much." "Maybe we can get you back," Jack said. "If we find a way off this planet, you can go home again." Lyra nodded, but there was a look in her eyes that Jack could not read. Night came quickly. Outside, strange lights moved through the trees. Jack kept watch while Lyra slept. He thought about his own family back on Earth and wondered if he would ever see them again. As he watched over Lara, he felt a strange sense of duty. She was a stranger, but he wanted to protect her. Something about her made him believe she was important, even If she would not say why. In the middle of the night, Jack heard voices in the distance. He woke Lyra quietly. "We need to be quiet," he whispered. "Someone is out there." They listened together as the voices came closer. Jack saw shadows moving past the cave. Lyra grabbed his arm, her hand shaking. They did not move or speak until the voices faded away. When it was safe, Lyra whispered, "Thank you for staying with me." "I do not know what I would have done alone." Jack smiled, trying to be brave. "You are not alone. I will help you as much as I can." They waited in the cave until morning. When the sun rose, Jack and Lyra left their hiding place. They moved quickly, following the river toward what Jack hoped was a safer place. As they walked, Jack told Lyra stories about Earth, about the blue sky and green fields, about the way rain smelled and how warm the sun felt in the summer. Lyra listened with interest. "Your home sounds wonderful. I wish I could see it someday." "Maybe you will," Jack said. "If we work together, we can get off this planet." As they walked, Jack saw how Lyra tried to stay strong, even when she was tired. He admired her courage. He still did not know who she really was, but he knew she was not an ordinary traveler. Her eyes watched everything, her steps were careful, and she always seemed to think before she spoke. In the afternoon, they reached a ridge and looked down at a wide plain. Far away, Jack saw the broken remains of an old building. "Maybe there is something useful there," he said. Lyra nodded, and together they started toward the building, not knowing what they would find or what new dangers waited for them. The journey had just begun, and Jack felt hope for the first time since he crashed. He did not know Lyra's secret, or how big her world really was, but he believed that together they could survive, and maybe even find a way home. Jack and Lyra made their way down from the ridge, careful to stay hidden by the tall blue grass that moved in the morning breeze. The sun was rising fast and brought a soft warmth that made the strange planet feel almost welcoming, but Jack never forgot how far from home he really was. Lyra followed close, still quiet, but her eyes kept moving, always watching for danger or hope in the distance. They crossed a shallow stream where tiny silver fish jumped at their feet. Jack showed Lyra how to step on the large stones so she wouldn't get wet. She smiled, just a little, and Jack felt good that he could help. It made him feel useful and less afraid. Soon, they reached the old building Jack had seen from the ridge. It looked like it had once been a station or a small outpost, but now it was falling apart. Metal sheets had rusted, and vines crawled up the walls. Jack checked the door and found it unlocked. He opened it slowly, making sure it was safe before waving Lyra inside. They walked into a dark room filled with broken crates and empty shelves. The air was thick with dust. Lyra coughed and covered her nose. Jack shined his little flashlight around, searching for anything useful. In one corner he found a metal locker still closed. He pried it open and found an old blanket, a few tools, and a small first aid kit. Jack grinned, glad for the luck. He handed the blanket to Lyra. "It's not much, but it should help you stay warm at night," he said. Lyra took it with thanks. They sat for a while, resting their tired legs. Jack shared his last piece of bread with Lyra, who accepted it without complaint, though Jack could see she was hungry. He wished he had more to give. As they rested, they heard noises outside. Jack's heart started beating faster. He motioned for Lyra to be quiet. They listened as heavy boots stomped through the grass. Someone called out in a language Jack did not know. Lyra's face turned pale. Jack knew they could not stay in the building. Quietly, he led Lyra to the back door and opened it just a crack. He saw 2 alien soldiers, tall and wearing dark armor, walking past. They held strange guns and looked around with sharp eyes. Jack grabbed Lyra's hand, and together they slipped out the back and into the shadows. They moved quickly away from the building, trying to make no sound. Soon they reached a thicket of purple bush and hid inside. Jack peeked through the leaves and saw the soldiers search the building. One of them shouted and pointed at the spot where Jack and Lyra had been sitting. The other soldier started talking into a small radio. Jack held his breath, hoping they would not find their tracks. After a long time, the soldiers gave up and walked away. Jack waited until he was sure they were alone before standing up. He turned to Lyra. Are you okay? He asked softly. She nodded, but her hands were shaking. Who are those people? Why are they looking for you? Lyra hesitated for a moment. They are soldiers from a faraway world, she said. They want to take me back. I cannot let them find me. Jack nodded, understanding that Lyra's secret was bigger than he first thought. He promised himself he would help her, no matter what. Come on, he said. We need to keep moving. It is not safe here. They walked for hours, staying close to the river, hoping it would lead them to other signs of life. As they moved, Jack tried to lift Lyra's spirits. He told her about his life on Earth, about his parents, his old job fixing engines, and the small apartment where he lived. Lyra listened quietly, sometimes asking questions about Earth's animals or the way the city lights looked at night. When they stopped to rest, Lyra opened up a little more. I grew up in a big place too, she said. There were many people around me all the time. Sometimes it was very lonely. Jack was surprised. I know that feeling, he said. You can be surrounded by people and still feel alone. Lyra looked at him, her eyes sad but soft. I never had a friend like you, she said. Jack smiled and felt warmth in his chest. He wanted to tell her that he felt the same, but he was too shy. As the sun started to set, they heard a strange buzzing in the air. Jack looked up and saw a small drone flying above the trees. It was round and made a soft blue light. Jack pulled Lyra into the shadow of a tree and watched as the drone hovered, scanning the ground. After a moment, it flew away. Jack sighed with relief. Lyra looked at the ground. They are searching everywhere, she whispered. I do not know how much longer I can hide. Jack squeezed her shoulder. We will find a way, he said. You are not alone now. They continued moving until nightfall. Jack found a fallen log that made a good place to hide for the night. They curled up under the blanket from the old building. Jack gave Lyra the first aid kit, and she used it to clean a small cut on her arm. Jack watched her, noticing how careful and graceful she was. Even in the darkness, she seemed to glow, as if there was a light inside her. Before they went to sleep, Jack asked Lyra, Do you trust me? Lyra thought for a long time before answering. I want to, she said. I do not have much choice, but I do trust you, Jack. You have been kind to me, and you did not ask for anything in return. Jack nodded. He wanted to promise her that everything would be okay, but he knew that would be a lie. Instead, he just said, I will do my best to help you. We will get through this together. The next day, they walked deeper into the wild lands, away from the river and the open plains. The ground became rocky and the trees grew taller, their leaves making strange shadows on the ground. At noon, they found the remains of an old road. Jack guessed it led to a spaceport or some kind of city long ago. Maybe, he thought, there was still something useful there. As they walked along the road, they heard voices ahead. Jack pulled Lyra behind a large stone and peered out. A group of travelers were coming toward them, led by a man in a bright yellow jacket. They did not look like soldiers. They seemed tired and dusty, carrying packs on their backs. Jack took a chance and stepped out into the open. Hello, he called. We need help. The travelers stopped, surprised to see Jack and Lyra. The man in the yellow jacket looked at them closely. Who are you? He asked. Jack told a simple story, saying they were lost and looking for shelter. The man listened and then nodded. We are heading to the old port, he said. It is not far. You can come with us, but you must be careful. The area is not safe. Jack thanked him. As they walked together, the travelers shared food and water with Jack and Lyra. Lyra was shy, speaking only a few words. Jack stayed close to her, always watching for trouble. Soon, they reached the edge of the old port. Tall metal towers rose in the distance, covered in vines. Broken ships and old vehicles lay scattered around. Jack felt a thrill of hope, maybe. There was a way off this planet here. But the man in the yellow jacket warned them. There are gangs here, he said. Do not trust anyone. If you get caught, no one will help you. Jack thanked the man and led Lyra away from the main path. Together they found a small shelter inside an old cargo ship. As they settled in for the night, Jack looked at Lyra and smiled. We made it this far, he said. Tomorrow we will see what we can find in the port. Maybe, Just maybe we will find our way home. Lara looked at Jack and nodded. Thank you, Jack. I do not know what would have happened to me if I had not met you. Jack smiled, feeling the bond between them grow stronger. He knew the days ahead would be hard, but for the first time he was not afraid. The morning was quiet in the old cargo ship where Jack and Lyra had slept. The walls were cold and covered in dust, but Jack felt a little more hopeful. The sound of birds outside and the soft sunlight made him believe, for just a moment, that everything would work out. Lyra was already awake, sitting by the door and looking at the metal towers in the distance. She seemed thoughtful and a little worried. Jack joined her and gave her half of a dry food bar he had saved. She smiled and thanked him in her soft voice. We need to be careful, Jack said. This place looks empty, but there are people here who might not like strangers. Lyra nodded. I will stay close, she said. Jack packed up their things, and together they left the cargo ship, moving quietly through the tall grass and toward the old port. The port was much bigger up close. Broken ships and machines filled the open area. Some buildings had fallen down, but others still stood, covered in green vines and strange blue moss. They saw a few people moving around, men and women who looked tough and wary, their faces tired. Some watched Jack and Lyra as they passed, but no one said a word. Jack kept Lyra close and tried to look like he belonged there. They searched the port for hours, looking for anything that might help them. Jack found some old batteries, a coil of wire, and a small toolkit. Lyra found a cracked water jug and filled it at a pump that still worked. They shared everything, trying not to draw attention. As they searched, Jack noticed that Lyra seemed more at home than he expected. She understood things about the port that Jack did not. She pointed out safe places to hide and knew how to use the broken machines to make little things work again. Jack wanted to ask her more about her past, but every time he tried, Lyra changed the subject. Instead, she asked Jack about Earth and what he missed most. Jack told her about the stars above his home and how his mother made pancakes on Sundays. Lyra listened and smiled, but her eyes were always full of secrets. In the afternoon, they heard shouting from the other side of the port. Jack looked around the corner and saw a group of men chasing a boy. The boy was small and fast, but the men were angry and carried long sticks. Jack knew trouble when he saw it. Without thinking, he ran to help. Lyra followed, though she looked worried. Jack got between the boy and the men. Hey, leave him alone, Jack said. The men stopped and stared. Who are you? One of them demanded. Just someone who does not like bullies, Jack said. The men laughed, but then they noticed Lyra standing beside Jack. Her calm gaze made them pause. After a moment, the men turned and walked away, grumbling. Jack helped the boy to his feet. Thank you, the boy said. My name is Taylor. They do not like strangers here, we noticed, Jack said. Are you alone? Taylor nodded. My family is gone. I have been hiding here for weeks. Jack felt sorry for the boy. Do you know a safe place in the port? Taylor smiled and pointed to a small building near the edge of the port. You can hide there. Nobody goes inside because it is supposed to be haunted. Jack thanked him and gave him some water. Taylor ran off, waving goodbye. Jack and Lyra walked to the building. It was old and covered in dust, but it was quiet and empty inside. Jack sat down, feeling tired. Lyra sat beside him. You did not have to help that boy, she said. Jack shrugged. I could not just stand there. Sometimes helping is all we can do. Lyra looked at him, her eyes soft. You are a good person, Jack. Not many would help a stranger here. Jack looked away, a little embarrassed. He wondered again who Lyra really was. He knew she was special, but not just because she was kind and gentle. There was something about her that felt important, as if she carried a whole world on her shoulders. As night came, they made a small bed out of blankets and rested in the dark. Jack heard footsteps outside and sat up, but no one came in. He fell asleep thinking about home and about the strange adventure he was now part of. In the morning, Jack woke to voices outside. He peeked through the broken window and saw a group of tough-looking men talking to a woman with silver hair. Jack froze. The men were from the gang that controlled the port. The woman looked powerful, and everyone listened when she spoke. Jack watched as the gang spread out, searching the area. Lyra pulled Jack back from the window. "They're looking for someone," she whispered. "We need to be careful." Jack agreed. They waited until the gang left, then slipped out of the building. As they moved, they heard someone talking about a lost queen, someone who was hiding on the planet. Jack frowned. He remembered the soldiers from before and how they had searched for Lyra. He wondered if it was all connected. They spent the day hiding and watching the gang. Jack wanted to find a way to send a signal for help. Lyra remembered that the old port had a radio tower, though it might not work. Jack decided to try. Together they crept through the port, avoiding the gang members. Jack found the tower at the far end of the port. The stairs were rusty and broken, but he climbed them, with Lyra following close behind. At the top, Jack opened the control box. Most of the wires were cut, but he used the tools he had found to fix them. Lyra helped, handing him parts and keeping watch. Finally, Jack powered up the transmitter. The lights flickered and the machine hummed to life. Jack sent a simple message: "Mayday, stranded on planet, need help." As soon as he finished, he heard shouting below. The gang had seen the lights and were running toward the tower. Jack and Lyra hurried down the stairs and ran through the ruins. The gang chased them, but Jack led Lyra through narrow gaps and hidden doors. They escaped and found a dark place to hide. When it was safe, Lyra turned to Jack. "Thank you for helping me," she said. "You did not have to risk yourself." Jack shook his head. "I could not leave you alone." "We area team now." Lyra smiled, but Jack could see she was still worried. What if no one hears the signal? What if we are stuck here forever? Jack took her hand. "We will keep trying. I believe someone will come. We just have to survive until then." As night fell again, Jack and Lyra stayed hidden. Jack listened for any reply to the message, but all he heard was static. Lyra watched the stars through a crack in the roof. Jack wondered what secrets she kept. And what would happen if the people searching for her found them first? He promised himself that he would do anything to keep her safe, no matter what came next. When the new day began, Jack woke to the gentle sound of Lyra's voice. She was shaking his shoulder softly, her eyes worried. "Jack, wake up," she whispered. "Something is happening outside." He blinked, slowly opening his eyes. His body was tired from all the running and hiding, but he forced himself to sit up. Together they crawled to the edge of the dark room and peeked through a crack in the wall. Outside, the old port was not empty anymore. A strange new ship had landed on the edge of the field. It was bigger and shinier than the other broken ships, and its engines made a gentle humming sound. Strange symbols covered its silver hull. Jack watched as the ship's door opened. Soldiers stepped out, but these were different from the rough gang members or the angry alien soldiers he had seen before. These new soldiers wore blue and gold armor, and they marched in a careful line. People in the port stopped to stare. The soldiers made no threats. Instead, they looked serious and calm, as if they were searching for someone important. Lyra pulled back from the wall. Her hands were shaking and her face looked pale. Jack touched her arm. "Do you know who they are?" he asked quietly. Lyra nodded. "They are the Royal Guard," she said in a small voice. "They are searching for me." Jack felt his heart pound. The Royal Guard? But why? Lyra looked at him with sad eyes. "I am sorry I did not tell you before. I could not trust anyone. But now you deserve to know the truth. I'm not just someone running away. I am—" She stopped and took a deep breath. "I am the Queen of the Galaxy. They are my soldiers. They have come to bring me home." Jack was stunned. He did not know what to say. For a moment, he thought Lyra was joking. But her eyes were too serious, too full of fear and sadness. He remembered all the little clues, the way she spoke, her careful movements, the soldiers and the talk of a lost queen. It all made sense now. He realized he had been traveling with someone very special, someone whose fate could change the lives of many. Lyra reached for Jack's hand. "I wanted to trust you. You were so kind to me when I was alone and afraid. I did not want to bring you into my problems, but now I have no choice. You deserve to know." Jack squeezed her hand gently. "I do not care who you are," he said. "You are my friend." I will help you, no matter what. Lyra smiled, tears shining in her eyes. Thank you, Jack. You are the only person who has ever treated me like I was just a person and not a queen. Together, they watched as the royal guards questioned people in the port. The guards were polite but firm. Some people pointed toward the old building where Jack and Lyra were hiding. Jack realized they would be found soon. We have to decide, he said. Do you want to meet them, or do you want to run? Lyra thought for a moment. I want to talk to them, but I do not want anyone else to get hurt. I will go out and speak to them, but you must stay safe. Jack shook his head. I am not leaving you alone. We face this together. Just then, the door of their hiding place burst open. 2 royal guards stood in the doorway, their weapons held, ready but pointed at the floor. When they saw Lyra, they bowed deeply. Your Majesty, one said, we have been searching everywhere. We are here to take you home. Lyra stood tall, her fear gone. Thank you, she said, but you must help my friend Jack too. He is the reason I am alive. The guards nodded and promised to protect both of them. Before they could leave, angry voices filled the air. The gang members had seen the guards and wanted to fight. They shouted for everyone to hand over the queen. The royal guards moved quickly, forming a protective circle around Lyra and Jack. The gang fired their weapons and the guards returned fire, but always tried to protect the people in the port as much as possible. Jack found himself in the middle of the fight. He was scared, but he did not run. He stayed by Lyra's side, helping her find cover. The guards fought bravely, but more gang members kept coming. Then, in the middle of the chaos, the alien soldiers arrived, the same ones who had chased Lyra. Across the wild lands, they wanted the queen too. Soon, the whole port was a battlefield. Jack remembered the old tools and machines he had collected. Using his skills, he ran to a broken loader and fixed the controls. He drove the loader between the fighting groups, blocking the gang's path. The royal guards cheered and the gang members fell back. The alien soldiers saw that the queen was well protected and tried to escape, but the guards caught them quickly. After a long and hard battle, the royal guards won. The gang members were forced to leave the port, and the alien soldiers were arrested. Lyra checked on the people in the port and made sure everyone was safe. She spoke kindly to everyone and thanked them for their help. Jack watched her with pride. He realized she was more than just a queen. She was a true leader. When the fight was over, Lyra turned to Jack. You have saved me again, she said. I would not have survived without you. Jack shook his head. I just did what anyone would do for a friend. I'm glad you are safe. Lyra smiled and took Jack's hand. Come with me, she said. There is something I want to show you. She led Jack to the royal ship. Inside, everything was bright and clean, with silver walls and soft lights. The royal guards saluted as they passed. Lyra brought Jack to a large room filled with stars, a place where she could see all the worlds she ruled. She pointed to a small blue planet on the screen. That is Earth, she said. Your home. You helped me when you had nothing. Now I want to help you. Jack felt tears in his eyes. He had never felt so honored in his life. Thank you, Lyra, he said. I do not know what to say. You do not have to say anything, Lyra replied. You have done more than enough. As the royal ship prepared to leave the planet, Lyra gave orders to help the people in the port and to repair the damage from the fight. She spoke with wisdom and kindness. Jack saw that she was truly meant to be queen. He felt lucky to have met her, and even luckier to be called her friend. As the ship lifted off and rose into the sky, Jack stood by Lyra's side, ready for whatever would come next. Together they looked out at the stars, knowing their adventure was not over, but only beginning. Jack could hardly believe what had happened. Only days before, he was just a lost engineer on a strange planet. Now, he was on a royal ship, flying above the world he once thought he might never escape. The royal guards moved with purpose, checking the halls and watching the screens. Everything inside the ship was clean and shining, and every person treated Lyra with deep respect. Jack tried to stay out of the way, but Lyra wanted him by her side. As the ship flew away from the old port, Lyra watched the planet through a big window. She looked tired, but she also looked stronger than ever. Jack could see the worry in her eyes, but she did not show it to her guards. Instead, she asked about the people in the port, making sure help would be sent to those who needed it. The guards promised her they would do as she asked. Jack saw that she cared for everyone, not just herself. She truly was a queen. Lara turned to Jack. "Thank you for everything," she said quietly. "I would not be here without you." Jack shook his head. "I only helped a friend," he said. Lyra smiled, but Jack saw she was thinking of something important. Suddenly, alarms rang through the ship. Red lights flashed, and the captain ran to Lyra's side. "Your Majesty," he said, "we are being followed." Lyra stood tall and calm. "Show me." The captain led her and Jack to the main screen. A group of dark ships appeared behind them, moving fast. They were the gang members who escaped the port, now flying stolen ships, and they were not alone. Some of the alien soldiers from before had joined them. Jack felt his stomach twist with fear. The guards prepared to defend the ship, but they were outnumbered. Lyra spoke calmly to the crew. "Do not panic," she said. "We have strong shields and brave people. We will not give up." As the enemy ships drew closer, Jack thought of an idea. He remembered the tools he had used on the planet and the way he had fixed broken machines. He asked the captain if he could help in the engine room. The captain agreed, and Jack ran down the hall, Lyra following him. In the engine room, Jack worked with the engineers. He checked the power lines and found a way to boost the shields using spare parts. The engineers listened to him, even though he was just a visitor. Lyra watched, her eyes full of trust. Soon, the shields grew stronger, and the ship was safer. Jack felt proud, but there was more to do. The enemy ships began firing at them. The ship shook, but the shields held. Lyra spoke to the guards on the bridge. "We must not hurt them if we can avoid it. Try to disable their ships, not destroy them." The guards nodded and did as she asked. Jack kept working, trying to think of more ways to help. He noticed a problem in the communication system. The enemy was blocking their signal, making it impossible to call for help. Jack worked with the radio crew, using parts from the old port to build a new transmitter. It was not easy, but he did not give up. While Jack worked, Lyra checked on the guards and helped care for the wounded. She gave hope to everyone around her. When a young guard was hurt, Lyra sat beside him and spoke gently. "You are brave," she said. "You have protected your queen and your friends. Rest now." The guard smiled and closed his eyes. Soon, Jack finished the new transmitter. He sent a call for help to Lyra's fleet, hoping someone would hear. Outside, the enemy ships kept firing. The royal guards fought back, but the ship shook with each attack. Jack saw the fear in the faces around him, but he also saw courage. No one wanted to give up. They all believed in Lyra. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life. A voice spoke. "This is Commander Holt of the Royal Fleet. We received your message. Help is on the way." Lyra smiled and thanked Jack. "You did it," she said. "You saved us all." Soon, bright lights appeared outside. The Royal Fleet had arrived. Powerful ships surrounded Lyra's ship, pushing back the enemy. The battle in space was fierce, but Lyra's people fought bravely. The enemy ships were forced to surrender, and the rest ran away. As peace returned, Lyra turned to Jack. "You have helped me and my people. You're brave and clever, Jack. You saved my life more than once." Jack felt embarrassed, but Lyra smiled at him. "You are not just my friend," she said. "You are my hero." The Royal Fleet took control of the enemy ships, arresting the gang leaders and alien soldiers who had caused so much trouble. Lyra made sure the prisoners were treated fairly, giving them food and care. She spoke with the other commanders, telling them about Jack and his courage. After the battle, Lyra invited Jack to her private room. It was quiet and full of soft lights. She offered him tea and a warm meal. Jack had not eaten anything good in days, and he was grateful. As they sat together, Lyra spoke softly. "I have never trusted anyone as much as I trust you. You saw me as a person, not just a queen?" Jack smiled and looked down at his hands. "I was just doing what felt right," he said. Lyra laughed gently. "Sometimes doing the right thing is the hardest choice." "You made it look easy." The ship traveled toward Lyra's homeworld. Jack looked out the window at the stars, feeling small, but Also important, he wondered what his life would be like now. He missed Earth, but knew he could not go back yet. Lyra needed him, and he wanted to help. When the ship finally landed, crowds waited to see the Queen. Lyra put on a long cloak and stepped out to greet her people. Jack walked beside her, nervous but proud. People cheered and waved, happy to see their queen return. Jack watched as Lyra smiled at everyone, waving and speaking kind words. In the great palace, Lyra was welcomed by her advisors. She introduced Jack to them, telling them how he saved her life. The advisors bowed to Jack, making him feel welcome. Lyra's people wanted to thank Jack in their own way. They held a small feast in his honor, serving food from across the galaxy. Jack tried many new things, laughing and sharing stories with Lyra and her friends. As the night ended, Lyra found Jack alone in the garden. She sat beside him, looking at the stars. "You could stay here," she said quietly. "You would have a home, friends, and a place beside me." Jack was surprised. He thought of Earth and his old life. But he also thought of Lyra and all he had seen. He realized he cared for her very much. He nodded. "I will stay," he said. "I want to help you and your people." Lyra smiled, her eyes shining in the moonlight. "I am glad," she said. "Together we can make this galaxy better for everyone." Jack felt hope and happiness fill his heart. He knew the adventure was not over. It was just the beginning. Jack walked through the palace halls with Lyra at his side. The walls were lined with glowing crystals that shone in soft colors. People bowed as they passed, but Jack kept his head down, feeling shy. Lyra smiled at the servants and guards, introducing Jack as her friend and hero. Jack was proud but nervous. He remembered how lost he had been on the strange planet, and now he was walking in a palace among many people. They entered a grand room filled with maps of stars and planets. Lyra's advisors were gathered there. She turned to Jack. "This is the council chamber," she said. "These people help me rule the galaxy." Jack bowed to each of them, and they nodded in greeting. One of the advisors, a tall woman with dark eyes, stepped forward. She spoke kindly to Jack and thanked him for saving their queen. Jack nodded and said quietly that he only did what he could. After the meeting, Lyra led Jack to a balcony overlooking a large garden. Flowers from many worlds bloomed there, their scents mixing in the air. Lyra sat on a bench, and Jack joined her. They watched colorful birds fly between the trees. "You have changed my life," Lyra said softly. "I do not know how to thank you." Jack looked at her. "You saved my life too," he said. "Without you, I would still be stranded on that planet." Lyra smiled and reached for his hand. They sat in silence for a while, enjoying the warmth of the sun. When the sun began to set, Lyra stood and pulled Jack to his feet. "Come with me," she said. She led him down a long corridor to a small door at the end. The door opened to a balcony, high above the palace city. The stars were bright, and Jack could see the outlines of many moons and planets in the sky. Lyra turned to Jack. "The galaxy is vast," she said. "There are so many worlds to see, so many people to help. I want you to explore with me, to show me what I do not know." Jack felt excitement and fear mix inside him. He thought of Earth, his home. But he also thought of Lyra and the adventure they shared. "I will go with you," he said. "I want to help you. And I want to see the stars with you." Lyra smiled and leaned her head on his shoulder. They stood together, looking at the universe, dreaming of what they would do. Back inside, the palace was preparing for a celebration in Jack's honor. Banners hung from the walls, and musicians tuned strange instruments. People whispered about the human who helped their queen. Jack felt shy but happy. He watched as Lyra greeted her people, then took a moment to dance with him at her side. The music was soft and the crowd cheered. Jack held Lyra close and danced quietly, thinking how lucky he was. After the dance, Lyra invited Jack to speak to the gathered crowd. He stepped forward, feeling all eyes on him. He cleared his throat and spoke simply. "People of the galaxy," he said, "I am just a man from Earth. Lyra is a true queen, and her people are brave and kind. I only did what I could to help. Thank you for welcoming me here." The crowd cheered loudly. Jack felt warmth in his chest and smiled. Later, Jack and Lyra walked through the palace gardens again. The night was calm, and the stars reflected in a clear pond. Lyra turned to Jack. I have told the council about your skills. They want you to stay and help rebuild the old worlds that were damaged by war. Will you do that? She asked. Jack thought of fixing machines on Earth, of helping people who needed him. He nodded. I will, he said. I will help you make the galaxy a better place. Lyra single quotes as eyes shone with happiness. Thank you, she said. Together we can bring hope to many. Over the next days, Jack worked with engineers, using his knowledge to repair broken ships and revive old stations. He taught others how to fix engines, and they learned quickly. Lyra visited his workshops, helping him and listening to his ideas. She valued his opinions as if he were one of her own advisors. One night, after a long day of work, Jack and Lyra sat together in her quarters. Jack opened the small box he had brought from Earth. Inside was a simple necklace with a small blue stone. It reminded him of Earth's oceans. He offered it to Lyra. Please, he said, wear this to remember our homeworlds and the adventure that brought us together. Lyra took the necklace and put it on. It rested against her skin, the blue stone shining. Thank you, Jack, she said. I will wear this always. Jack felt happy and at peace. He had found new purpose in the galaxy, beside the queen he had helped. Lyra looked at the necklace and then at Jack. She leaned forward and kissed him gently. Jack's heart beat fast as they held each other close. The next morning, the palace was quiet. Jack woke to soft light and found Lyra standing by the window, looking at the rising sun. He joined her and wrapped his arms around her. They stood together, ready for whatever new adventures waited in the galaxy. And so their story continued. With Jack by Lyra's side, they would travel to distant worlds, bring hope to those in need, and learn from each other. Jack had helped a mysterious princess long ago, never knowing she was a queen. Now he stood beside her as a friend, advisor, and partner, ready to face the vast galaxy together.